Hey everybody, welcome back to Fiverr Talks. My name is Joel Young, and as always, I'll be your host and your guide right here on Fiverr Talks. It's Wednesday, so you know what that means. Today we're asking, what's up with Fiverr Studios? We're going to talk about this beta program, who's in and who's not, what it means, and what you can do with it once you gain access. That's right, as always, my name is Joel Young, user DJ Young on Fiverr. I've been a top-rated seller and top earner since 2013, and today I'm going to talk to you about Fiverr Studios. It's a new beta program that's been floating around out there for several months, only open to specific sellers, but something that I believe might be opened up to more sellers as time goes on. So I thought it'd be a good idea for us to talk about it here on the channel. What is Fiverr Studios? What's the point? What's the intention? And if you're not invited into the beta, what can you do? Should you do anything? I got all those answers and more for you as we get going. If you're new with us here on the channel, make sure you drop us a comment down below. Let us know who you are, maybe what you're selling. Don't leave links because we'll delete those, but just tell us who you are, what you're selling, and how you found this channel. We really want to know, and we're really glad that you're here. So here's a quick explanation of what Fiverr Studios is so you can understand the frame of our conversation. And as we work through today, I'm going to be offering you 5 things that you need to consider before you jump into Fiverr Studio, or maybe the greater concept of sharing the load and the burden of a project with other freelancers on Fiverr or anywhere else for that matter. So this is directly from Fiverr as a description of what Fiverr Studio is. They say that Fiverr Studios allows you to work on complex projects together with other sellers. Now, what you do is you can combine multiple skills that require various talents and offer predefined gigs. So what you would do is create what's called a studio. You would give your studio a name. That studio would have a studio lead, which would maybe be you or whoever's in charge or wants to take the lead on it. Then you would add other Fiverrs as studio members. Then within the studio, you would create specific gigs that pool your talent together. Like all of us together can do this. So you have specific gigs just for the studio, and the studio would receive reviews and ratings, not just the individuals within the studio itself. So it's a way for people to collaborate on Fiverr, and it's a way for people to offer services that include talents that they don't already have. And like I said, right now this is in beta on Fiverr. So for our question of the day today, I'd like to know, are you in the beta of Fiverr Studios? Do you see that little Fiverr Studios menu item at the top of your page? If so, let us know. And have you been involved in a studio in some way? Maybe as a member, not as a lead, if somebody brought you in. What's your experience been like? We want to hear from you on this, because even though it's an option for me, I have not jumped into using Fiverr Studios because it's really not that useful for me. And here's why. Because whether or not you're invited into the beta of Fiverr Studios, you could actually do what Fiverr Studios is trying to facilitate on your own. In fact, it's something I've been doing for years, using other people, other freelancers' talent to offer a more complete gig. And this is something I do by having a team, but I've also done it by using other talents on Fiverr and working with them, but under the heading of my own personal account. You see, Studios is just trying to facilitate the collaboration between sellers and put the onus of each piece of work on a different seller. And it's something that I think is a pretty cool idea, but something you don't need to wait for Fiverr Studios to do if you're interested in doing that. You could offer a gig, put together all the pieces of the puzzle yourself, whether you're using Fiverr freelancers or other freelancers that you know directly, and put all those talents together to offer a more comprehensive service. That's something that you could already do, but I think it comes down to asking yourself this major philosophical question that will both affect your working life now and in the future. And that question is, do you really want to be the lead manager or the lead person in charge of a collaborative effort? I can tell you, as a person who worked for 5 or 6 years on their own before ever working with anyone else, a team member, someone else I relied on to get a project out or anything like that, I was just a one-man show, a solo entrepreneur, and I did this for a long time on my own. And while there was a lot of heavy lifting that I had to do, I was doing all the intake, all the work, all the time, meeting every deadline. It was just up to me. It was a little more simple because it was just me. I didn't have to worry about, was anybody else going to hold up their end of the bargain? Was anybody else going to follow through with quality work? Was anybody else going to get the job done? Because it was all dependent on me. I believe there is a huge divide or a bridge you have to cross if you're going to go from someone who just works based on their talent, their schedule, and their ability to someone who relies on other people. Whether it's Fiverr Studios or organizing a collaborative effort on your own, you have to decide, am I willing to be a manager of other people before you jump into offering a collaborative gig or being a part of a collaborative project? Do I want to be in charge of other people's schedules, things like that? And so before I get ahead of myself, I want to actually give you 5 specific points that you need to consider before you collaborate with other sellers, whether it be in studio, if you ever get access to it, or if they ever make it public for everyone, or in a collaborative gig, your own. 5 things that you should consider before doing that. The first is margin. How much more do you need to charge for the service? How much total should it cost when considering everybody's fees, everybody's part? What margin do you need to make for managing the project? What's it going to cost and why? That's sometimes a very difficult question to answer because rates change, scopes of the project change, things change, people's availability changes. We'll get to that in a minute. But you have to be comfortable in putting a price on it, knowing what your margin is. And if things change, you have to be able to adapt. If things change, sometimes your margin will get cut. You're the one, if you're leading this thing, that's going to be cut. Your profit will be cut, not what the freelancers that are working for you are going to get paid, because that's already pre-agreed upon. So you have to be very careful in figuring out your margin, sticking to those rates, making sure that if you need to adjust, you are adjusting beforehand so that the client's expectations are clear up front. But you have to consider margin. And as costs change, you have to consider that margin or that price or rate might need to go up. Those are all very complex things that you're going to have to navigate if you want to bring others into your fold and be a lead on a collaborative project. The second thing you need to consider is the hassle factor. Like I said, when you're working on your own, there's almost no hassle factor because you're dealing with no one else but yourself. The only hassle is you're doing all the work by yourself. So you have to ask yourself, is it worth the hassle to bring someone else in, to be worried about someone else's work, someone else's timeline, all these things? Is it worth the hassle to me? Or is it simply easier to stay on my own? Now, if you're asking from my own personal experience, I can't say that there's a true answer to this. Yes, it is more hassle to manage people, but you can get more done. You could actually take time off. Things get done when you're not around. But some days it's just way easier to work on your own. I think that's different for each person. You have to ask yourself, what kind of person am I? Am I a good manager, or am I a person that really thrives working on my own, no one else involved, no reliance on anyone else? Maybe that's why you got into this work to begin with, because you didn't have to worry about other people messing up your vision, your goals, your hard work. It's a hassle factor that you have to consider. Number 3 is schedules. You have to consider when people are going on vacation, how many days or hours a week they work, what times of the day are they available, so that if someone comes back and needs something at 6 p.m. on a Tuesday, is your team already off? If it's something you can't do, that's something that I really prided myself on really early in my process, is that I kind of was always keeping an eye on things. And so if somebody needed something, I was sure to jump on it very quick. But when you start working collaboratively with a team, there are sometimes requests for work that you aren't personally doing, and it has to wait until the next time that person doing it is available. So you have to ask yourself, can I manage schedules? Am I okay with that rhythm? Can I be disciplined enough to make that work? Schedules. 4th, quality control. Are you ready to be on the hook, on the line for someone else's quality of deliverable? You can control your own quality, but are other people going to be able to consistently deliver the quality that you expect, need, and are promising to your clients? Can you control the quality to such a level that you're still going to get good reviews, put out good work, be on time, all these things? You are going to be king or queen of quality control, and are you ready to sit in that seat? You better ask that question before you bring anybody else into your work. And 5th and finally, revisions. It's like I was talking about for schedules. How are revisions going to be handled? Are you going to have to pay your freelancers for revisions? That should go into your margin at the top because it's going to cost you a little more. What happens when a client needs an urgent revision and it's work you can't personally do? You have to consider all of these things. That means that there needs to be a little bit more margin, a little bit more room for error, a little bit broader expectation for time and turnaround and all these things. Those are 5 things that you really have to consider: margin, hassle, schedules, quality control, and revisions when you're bringing other people into the mix. And honestly, since I've never used Fiverr Studio, I don't know how many of those things are handled. I'm not sure how revisions are handled in Fiverr Studio when it's a revision that deals with one person's work but not the other. Maybe that person's on vacation and it doesn't get done. Does that affect everybody, the rating and review? I don't know. Does the rating and review of a gig in a studio affect the person's individual status? Does a 1-star review in a studio they're involved in show up on that person's individual portfolio? I don't know. I've never used it. These are interesting questions, but I think it gets a little bit more, if not a lot more messy when you start working and collaborating with other people. And you have to ask yourself the hard questions before that point ever comes, even if you're totally free and individual and on your own right now and say, that could never happen. I'm just really never going to be in a position to work with other people. I would say, think about it now, because that was me 5 years ago. 3 years ago, saying, I'm going to be on my own forever. This is the way I prefer it. And then watching the business continue to grow and morph and change. And honestly, I love my team. I love the people I work with. I love some of the freelancers that I get to support and give work to consistently because they're doing an awesome job. But it does complicate my life, my work, my business, my schedule, my margins. All of these things, it affects them and it raises them at a different level. So with greater freedom comes greater responsibility, and all of those things tie together when you're bringing other people into your work. So whether it be Fiverr Studios or just a collaborative effort, make sure you're asking the right questions and thinking these things through before you actually get to the point of needing to make the decision. So when you're there, you can say, nope, not going that direction. I'm going to stay dedicated to do it on my own. Or yes, I'm going to bring other people in, but here's how we're going to do it, and we're going to be wise and smart about it. I am just so appreciative of all of you who are watching these videos all the way to the end. I know there are many of you who are watching, commenting, being involved in everything. I am so thankful for that. And if you're doing that, I would say please consider supporting this channel. One of the ways that you can support this channel is by becoming a Fiverr Talks Insider. Join me over on Patreon. Not only will you get exclusive content and access to exclusive Patreon Insider things like Q&A videos, direct contact with me, but you'll be supporting this channel that is helping you out. I offer these tips and resources for free, so if you want to offer your support over on Patreon, I'd really appreciate that. It'll just help this channel to grow and allow me to continue to put more effort and attention right here on Fiverr Talks, because it's really my heart to help those of you that are out there hustling, who want to change your life, who want to do things to make your tomorrow better and brighter. I want to help you do those things because I think the world's a better place when we're all doing work that we love. So until next time, remember, keep doing, because the future favors the doers.